Let's open a new file, a massive one. Today we are not investigating a fictional crime scene. We are investigating a cinematic crime scene. Picture the year 2012. A camera circles a group of 6 heroes in the ruins of New York City, the Avengers. The theater erupts. A cinematic universe is born. Now, picture the year 2017. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg stand together on screen for the first time in Justice League. It should have been the biggest moment in film history. Instead, the audience just shrugged. The movie flopped. The universe fractured. Welcome back to the Evidence Room. I am the Lore Inspector, and today we are asking the billion-dollar question. What exactly did DC do wrong, and what is the hidden science behind the Marvel formula? Let's get one thing straight before we look at the evidence. This was never about the characters. Batman and Superman are the most recognizable, iconic, and culturally significant superheroes on the planet. They are modern mythology. Iron Man, back in 2008, was a B-list hero that Marvel only used because they didn't own the rights to Spider-Man or the X-Men. Marvel had the scraps. DC had the gods. Yet Marvel built an empire, and DC built a house of cards. Why? Exhibit A, the foundation of empathy. Building the man before the hero. When Jon Favreau directed Iron Man, he wasn't making a superhero movie. He was making a character study about a narcissistic weapons manufacturer who discovers he has a conscience. We spent an hour falling in love with Tony Stark's flaws before the suit even mattered. Marvel understood a fundamental psychological rule. The mask means nothing if we don't care about the face underneath it. Now look at DC's approach. After Man of Steel, they didn't take the time to explore Superman's place in the world. Instead, they immediately greenlit Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. They didn't build a foundation. They relied on cultural cachet. They assumed that because you already know who Batman is, they don't have to do the heavy lifting of making you care about this specific Batman. They skipped the emotional groundwork and went straight for the gladiator match. And that leads us to the smoking gun of this entire investigation. Exhibit B, the architecture of patience versus the panic of the boardroom. The Marvel formula isn't just quips and CGI. The true formula is patience. Phase 1 of the MCU was a massive risk. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America. They took 4 years and 5 separate movies to introduce the pieces before they assembled the puzzle. When Tony Stark met Steve Rogers, it felt earned because we had lived with them individually. What did Warner Brothers and DC do? They panicked. They looked at the $1 billion Marvel made with the Avengers and decided they wanted that immediately. Batman vs. Superman wasn't just a movie. It was a sequel to Man of Steel, a reboot for Batman, a backdoor pilot for Wonder Woman, a teaser trailer for The Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg, and an adaptation of the Death of Superman comic. It was 5 movies violently shoved into a single bloated file. You cannot build the penthouse before you pour the concrete. But the tragedy of the DC Extended Universe doesn't stop with pacing. Let's examine Exhibit C, tonal whiplash and the absence of a singular vision. Marvel had Kevin Feige, one man, one architect who oversaw every script, every director, and every post-credit scene. He ensured that whether you were watching a political thriller like The Winter Soldier or a space comedy like Guardians of the Galaxy, it all felt like it belonged to the same universe. Marvel found a tone, sincere stakes balanced with levity. DC, on the other hand, was operated by reactionary studio executives. When Zack Snyder delivered Batman vs. Superman, it was dark, cynical, and operatic. Critics tore it apart for being too bleak. So what did the studio do? They overcorrected. They marched into the editing room of Suicide Squad, a movie originally pitched as a gritty mercenary film, and ordered the editors of a movie trailer company to chop it up, add neon graphics, and force classic rock songs into every scene to make it look like Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a Frankenstein monster of corporate fear, and they did it again with Justice League. Mid-production, they fired Zack Snyder after a family tragedy, brought in Marvel's Joss Whedon, and forced him to rewrite the movie into a colorful comedy. Imagine painting half a canvas like a dark Gothic Rembrandt, and then paying a pop artist to finish the other half with brightly colored crayons. The result wasn't a movie. It was a boardroom compromise. The Marvel formula works because it respects the audience's investment. It tells a serialized story where actions have permanent consequences. DC treated its cinematic universe like a slot machine, pulling the lever, hoping for $1 billion, and kicking the machine when it didn't pay out. Marvel built a universe. DC chased a trend. Now, with James Gunn taking the wheel, the DC universe is getting a hard reboot. Will the new architect finally lay a proper foundation for the Justice League? Or is the legacy of these gods forever tainted by corporate greed? That is a file for another day. What do you think was the exact moment the DC universe died? Leave your testimony in the comments below. If you want me to keep digging into the secrets of storytelling and cinematic history, hit that subscribe button and join the agency. Case closed. For now.